Hello, and welcome to round 2 of the Parenting Roundabout podcast. I'm Terri Morrow, and I'm here with Catherine Haleko. Say hi, Catherine.
Hi, Terri.
Usually on this podcast, we talk about parenting issues, but once a week, Catherine and I like to get together to discuss TV, movies, books, and other entertainment topics because it's nice to talk about something other than parenting for a change. This week, our Dancing with the Stars days are over, and our The Good Place watch is on hold while we wait for new episodes. Come on, get them to us already. But we do have a challenge round, and first up, another episode in our West Wing binge watch. For this week, we watched The Birnam Wood from Season 6, Episode 2. And we also listened to the West Wing Weekly episode for this, on which Rishi said, and I'm going to look in my list here and quote, that he likes it when the show becomes an educational tool. And my response to that was, no.
No, I did not like it.
Do not like.
No.
I like it when the show is entertaining. Please, entertain me. This was not terrible, but not a lot of fun. And very preachy and very civics lesson-y. And
yeah, I thought it was a slog.
Isn't it time for another big block of Tuesday? Come on.
I thought it was a slog. And yeah, like you said, big block of Tuesday, you get, 15 different little mini plots. This one had one plot.
Yes.
Except at the very end when another thing happened.
Yes.
But I didn't like that it only had one plot. Mm-hmm. And I didn't like just feeling like I'm having to learn about all of the issues related to the Mideast peace negotiations, especially when I know that nothing came of it in real life.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like
these things that are like real life things, real world things, but fantasy world things are happening in them are frustrating.
Yeah, very frustrating.
They're better off with Kundu.
Right. When
they can do anything they want with Kundu.
Because we will.
And they did.
Yeah. So I didn't care for it. I found it slow going to get through this one.
Yeah. That was not fun. And so it's over, and things pick up from here.
Yeah, and then at the end, what I mentioned was that there is a very, very, very long sequence of Leo dying, basically, having a heart attack while like stumbling around in the woods and gasping and moaning, and it was too long.
It really, really was.
Oh.
And as they mentioned on the podcast, particularly creepy now that we, in retrospect, know that John Spencer did indeed die of a heart attack. It was hard watching that to happen to Leo in the first place. And then it's like, ugh, this was a little creepily,
prescient. Yeah.
And the fact that they all leave, how long can you... I don't want to spoil whether John Spencer continues to be on the show, but he does. So, basically, if you have a massive heart attack, how long can you lay on the floor of a forest while people fly away?
Yeah, I knew that he dies at some point in the series and in real life, unfortunately. And I thought that his death on the show was because he died in real life. But
that is correct. Okay, so if something happens on the show where it appears to you that Leo has died, remember that it happened after John Spencer passed and because he passed, and that therefore they would not necessarily have been able to film it. So I hate to spoil that for you, but he just lays there on the floor of the forest for a while, and then
finally somebody figures out that he's missing. Margaret!
Yeah. I mean, it would make more sense if the character had actually gotten killed off, because it certainly seems like he's there dead in the forest while people leave, and that, 5 days later, a hiker's going to come upon his body.
Right.
But,
I can tell that obviously as soon as they get back to Washington, or when he just never answers his phone, they're going to be like, something's not right here. But yeah, I mean, I did think that this was the end for Leo, just because of the lengthiness of that scene and the way it was kind of foreshadowed. It was awful. You know, I just need some Tums or whatever. You're like, he's having a heart attack right now. It's clear.
Yes. Well, now I have ruined it for you.
Well, that's fine.
Sorry. It's going to be, as we will discuss later, it's going to be a while before we watch the next episode. I don't want you to be R.I.P. Leo for all that time.
Too soon. Yeah.
You still got a little bit of plot left in him. But, but that certainly does seem that way.
And it was
I was wondering if you would think that.
Excruciatingly long. Like,
yes.
That just made it very soap operatic or something. It just didn't feel West Wing to me.
Yes, and as they did point out when they were talking about it on the podcast, he seems to like survive the first little ripple of it, and then it hits him hard. So at the point where you think maybe you had a heart attack, but you're okay now, you turn around and walk back towards where there are people. You don't just keep wandering in the woods.
Around.
Come on, Leo.
Yeah.
I know you're sad because
you just got fired
of your breakup with your best friend, but yes, that was all, I guess maybe they'll talk more about the reasons why things were done the way they were done in future episodes, but I'm not sure I quite buy this complete breakdown of, I guess I do buy it in terms of it being the end of an arc that started with the kidnapping, or really even started maybe a little bit before that with the killing the guy.
The assassination.
Right. That maybe was the start of it, where following Leo's counsel had repercussions that touched his family. And so there's been more and more and more doubt in his mind, but still, it just seemed kind of brutal.
Yes.
And John Spencer did not look good in those scenes.
No.
It's like, was somebody was following it. Well, I guess they were following him with cameras into the forest, because we don't want this to, how do you direct somebody who is not maybe in the heartiest of health?
Right.
Pretend like you're dying there, John.
Yeah.
So that was uncomfortable. The whole exclusion of Leo from things was uncomfortable, and then that ending.
Yeah, and I just felt like it was like, he's such a talented actor. He doesn't need to be made to do that. Like stumbling around, moaning and gasping, and I don't know. I just did not like that.
Yeah, so it was you say, can't we get back to the personal stories about the people that we know? And then, okay,
and here's
here you
one
go.
for you. Oh, wait, that's not what I meant. No, thank you.
No. Oh, yeah. Well, I think that things pick up from here, as I recall. Okay. But the next couple of episodes are sort of setting up the rest of the season and the rest of the series. The series in a way these two didn't do, except for the fact that, boy, is Kate Harper up to speed. She's gone from new arrival to, like, integral part of the team. Like
suddenly
in 2 episodes.
Probably eligible for a Nobel Peace Prize at this point.
That's right. She's just coming up with good idea after good idea, that girl.
Left and right.
She is, she is a go-getter. So that seems slightly, as much as I like Mary McCormack and I like the character of Kate Harper, and it's, they've tried introducing new blood in a variety of ways, and this is the one I like the best. But, and she's there for the duration. But it does seem a little bit unlikely.
Yes, I would agree.
Yes. Well, is there anything else you have to say about this unfortunate episode?
Let's move on.
A great episode in that it solved this Mideast situation. So,
yeah.
Good on them.
It's a good thing they figured that out.
That's right. Okay, well, speaking of Kate Harper and Mary McCormack, who plays them, we thought this would be a good time to do a challenge round. I thought it would be a good time to challenge Catherine to watch an episode of In Plain Sight, which is a series that Mary McCormack did after The West Wing, in which she starred as a federal marshal in the Witness Protection Program, where she is in charge of various people who have testified and gone on to new lives, and she has to make sure that they toe the line and that, they observe the rules of their plea agreement, and also that they don't get caught or found or do anything. So that's what the series goes on to be for five seasons and 60-some episodes. We watched the pilot, which I had not watched in a very long time. And, in true USA style, what we found out about Mary? Mary Shannon, the lead character? She's quirky.
She's quirky. That's
her methods,
for sure.
They're unconventional.
She's brash. She says what she thinks, but she's vulnerable too. She tries to hide it, but it's there.
She wears the hell out of a tank top for several days in a row. So, yeah, they really laid the quirks on thick in this first. I assure you it does calm down. But she is always just, certainly a very forthright and no-nonsense and quippy character. And her family, similar to Burn Notice, is kind of a train wreck. And So I enjoyed watching it, but I was kind of thinking, this is a little much.
Yes, that was...
Y'all can calm down. She's a good actress. She can sell your stuff.
Yeah, that was
She doesn't need to be doing phone sex with the gangster.
My feeling, exactly. Just dial it back a little, please. I mean, the concept is fun and interesting. Because, ever since... What was the one where Steve Martin was the My Blue Heaven?
Oh, yes. Yeah, right.
People are interested in the whole concept of, there is such a thing as the Witness Protection Program and what really happens and, how do people actually just, completely sever all ties with their previous life and, all that stuff it's a good premise.
Yeah. And it does settle down into that, the one or two relocated witnesses of the week. And that's much better than this. Although I did enjoy the sad accountant placed in this shabby apartment who really all she wants is new breasts.
Right.
You start feeling sorry for her, and then she's like, they said I could get new breasts.
Right. This is what I am going to focus on.
We'll make this all worthwhile. Poor forlorn woman. But I guess there are compensations. She had to leave her entire family, even the pictures. I couldn't even bring the photos. Here's a Playboy. Pick the ones you want.
Right. Oh, okay.
But the main plot of I guess the gangster who's got relocated and then his son was killed and turned out to have absolutely nothing to do with that. But, I did figure it was going to come around to the
girl,
dad and the boyfriend.
I actually thought it was the dad.
Yeah, I thought so too.
Not the son.
But then, it's law of economy of characters. It had to be one of them.
Mm-hmm.
But, I'm trying to remember if that police officer was in it more.
Yeah,
or if he was one of those pilot characters that never makes it to the full thing. But I looked it up on IMDb. He was in some. He was not in... He was at least the first season, I guess. I had completely forgotten about him. But,
and the partner, does he stay?
Yes, he stays. He stays. And they didn't make anything of it, but his first name is Marshall, so he's Marshall. Marshall Man.
That's funny.
Yeah. So, and we revisited a character from Cincinnati. Paul Ben Victor plays their chief,
right?
And he was in John from Cincinnati, which we watched. He played quite a different character in that. But,
yes, he did.
Yes, he is still somewhat hapless in this role
he's
as well.
Definitely hapless.
Enjoyable. So certainly you could see an acting stretch for Mary McCormack from Kate Harper. Certainly a different kind of character. For one thing, no bangs.
Yeah.
And
she really looks different without the bangs. I have to say.
She has the bangs characters and the non. I can go bangs or I can go non-bangs. Which would be best for this? So yes, this is definitely a non-bangs character. Mary Shannon would not care for the bangs.
No, she wouldn't.
Not so much. So it was fun to see her doing something so very different after we'd seen her being super diplomat.
Yes.
On the Birnam Wood.
Yeah.
Coming up next week is no podcast episode from us. We're going to take a couple of weeks off for the holidays. And when we come back in 2019, it will be with the West Wing episode Third Day Story. Stay all the way to the end, kids, of that episode. And for our challenge round, Catherine is challenging me to watch the movie Big Night. What do you want to tell us about Big Night before we go get it from our libraries?
Well, I can't remember why. Why did we put this on the list?
I don't know.
I really can't remember.
Were we talking about Tony Shalhoub?
It stars Stanley Tucci and I believe Anthony Shalhoub as brothers who have an Italian restaurant. Uh-huh. And their big night is because a critic is going to come and eat at their restaurant. And, you know, as far as seasonality goes,
yes.
You know, there's a lot of cooking. There's a lot of like just kind of staying inside and eating and cooking, which feels very wintry to me.
Yes.
And there's like family infighting between the two brothers.
There you go.
So that's
perfect
also
for this holiday season.
Right. Appropriate for the holidays. So, and I haven't seen it in a long time, but I really liked it back when I did. And I wish I could remember what the link was to why I thought you should watch it.
Well, we'll watch it and then we'll find out. It may just have been one of those where we were going, did you see this? Nah, yeah, I did. Did you see, how about this? Did you see this?
Yeah.
Maybe we were talking about Tony Shalhoub for some reason.
There's an actor. Yeah, I feel like there's some. Anyway.
Yeah. Okay.
See what you think.
We will watch it and then we will figure out why we wanted to.
Yes, exactly.
In the meantime, that's going to be it for our round 2 today. Please subscribe to our Parenting Roundabout podcast so that you won't miss any of our episodes, including our daily speed rounds and weekly group chats. As always, you can find recaps, links, and an opportunity to comment on our website at parentingroundabout.com. And we wish you all happy holidays. There will be no episodes for the next 2 weeks. Please, 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 please come back, though, when we do. I'll have some graphics going by for you on Twitter, just so you don't forget we exist. Goodbye, Catherine.
Bye, Terri.
Goodbye, everybody.